So I'm going to switch over, so hopefully I don't lose you for too long. Go full screen here. And back. And I'm going to go off of this one, and hopefully we go back onto the other one. And that. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see me now. And hopefully you can hear me now as well. Although it's not looking like it. Oh, there it goes. Everything's slowly coming back. So, if you can't hear me, let me know. If you can hear me, it's great. I think I see everybody. Not bad. I'm spending close to $1,800, but I needed monitors, etc., not just guts. No, I need guts. Hopefully I didn't lose you guys. I'm actually going to log into Twitch from my phone so that I can see what you guys are seeing, and hopefully you're seeing what you should be seeing, which is me. So let me know if you can. Let's see here. Gotta see if I can find my channel. Oops. Can you guys see me? Ah! Can you see me now? Everything's a little wonky today. So give me a heads up if you can see me. Yeah, it's been... I got Starfield... Awesome! We're good. Cool. You can see me. So I literally got onto the computer 2 hours ahead of time so that I could get everything going, make sure everything worked, the whole 9 yards, just to have it totally take a dump the minute I was switching over to this feed. I was apparently the background feed with the music and the starting soon, all that was working fine right up until I clicked the transition button and then right out the window. So hopefully you can hear me as well. It's kind of a silly Kahuna Reads if you can't hear me. It's been a busy day for me before this all went south. I was putting up the rest of the soundproofing for the Kahuna lair and for the Offspring's bedroom, which is on the other side of the wall from the Kahuna lair. So hopefully they can't hear us and I can't hear them. So hopefully that works. You probably don't hear any music in the background. That's normal. Well, it's not normal. I'm not messing with it at this point. So I do have things to read. Right now I've got 4 listed, but if you guys come up with more that you want me to read, drop links in. We'll do as many as I can. No music, yeah. I didn't bother starting the music because it was already acting wonky as it was. So there we go. Good night, Macaro. Have a great evening. Get some sleep. Rest is important. I actually, here's the thing. Things were going so well before everything went down the toilet that I was falling asleep at my desk waiting to go live. And then, so, it's my day so far. All right, so let's get right into this. The first one I have here is, I'm trying to remember whose this is. This is, one moment, please. This is, oh, this is DM Stretches. This is DM Stretches. Let's see. Thank you, Siobhan, for the Kahuna Crowns. And let's go to this. You can see what I'm looking at. What a way to wake up. Yeah, trust me. This is Backstory by Brother Marcel de Monchard. It's written as an autobiographical piece, so I will be reading it as such. Raid on the way? Absolutely, we shall wait for the raid, because more people should hear the story of Brother Marcel de Montchard. Hey, Daz! Welcome! Sorry I missed you on that. Yeah, what a way to wake up. Sorry, Daz. didn't realize it was you. It's color coding people weird, so, par for the course. I'm probably going to spend most of the day fixing things. I am being boarded. Hello, Isong. Welcome. Dragon Love Water. Welcome. Aegon also. Welcome. And Erin. Who else will be boarding us? Darth Nicholas. Aegon has hosted. Rowan is here. Yes, Siobhan, you are pink. So is Dazzlycat. Hey, Aegon, welcome. We were just getting ready to... and Scribe, welcome. Just getting ready to read DM Stretch's article. So, awesome. Apparently, my having just a little bit of technical difficulty made the timing just about perfect. So... So let's get to reading, shall we? All right. Again, this is the backstory of Brother Marcel de Montchard. I am Brother Marcel de Montchard, although it is unlikely to be my real name. That I do not know, for I never knew my father or mother. I was orphaned as a child. My father brutally murdered and left me for dead in the middle of winter. If it were not for Master Gaston de Rochevert, I would surely die in that day. Instead, he found me and took me to the nearest place he could, this being the nunnery of the Sisters of St. Elizabeth. There I was raised by Mother Elise Panier, such a caring, loving woman. Master Gaston would often come visit me, each time donating a sum of money to the nunnery to pay for my upbringing. He was like a father to me. In fact, I came to call him father, and he took me under his wing, teaching me the ways of his order, the Order of the Pale Wolf, saying that I should join him as a proud knight when I was old enough. My favorite memory of this time is when he used to take me out riding on his horse through the woods. We would travel for miles, just us two. I used to enjoy the freedom this brought us, free from the schooling of the nuns and free from the burdens of the world. Of these, I had my own, but Master Gaston always seemed to have more, even though he would try to hide it. I could always tell if there was something on his mind. It was on one of these rides, when I must have been about 8 years old, that my master must have sensed something was wrong. He stopped the horse and just sat there still, looking around in silence. Then he suddenly spurred his horse to flee from whatever it was he had detected, but we were thrown from the horse by some sort of trap. At that, a man appeared with a face I will never forget. A rough-looking man with a deep scar running down his right cheek was calmly walking toward us, sword drawn. It was then plainly obvious that he had set the trap and had been lying in wait for us. I had fallen clear of the horse due to me being small, but Master's leg had been trapped underneath its body and was unable to break free. I stood to defend who I considered to be my adopted father, the one person I loved more than anything in the world, but I was not enough. This man merely swept me out of his way like I was nothing to him, seemingly fixed only on my father, who, despite being trapped, drew his sword to defend himself. But he was soon overcome. As this would-be assassin raised his sword to land the final strike, I saw my father's spear lying on the ground. With all the strength I could muster, I rose to my feet, grabbed it, and lunged forward, impaling this man in the leg. He cried out in pain, and with a wild backswing caught me on my left shoulder, which was enough to knock my small, light frame backwards down a slight incline. I looked up to see my father pull a dagger and plunge it deep in the attacker's belly, but it was not enough. Without a single word, the sword was raised and stabbed slowly through the throat of my master, my father, the man who, while different blood, had become the only family I had in the world. In one fell blow, my whole world was broken and my heart ripped out. I felt like I had failed to protect my father, and now this man turned his attention toward me. I had only one option left: run! Bleeding from my shoulder from the wild sword blow that had thankfully only glanced off, I rose again to my feet and fled, crying not only because of my loss, but because I had to escape and leave him behind. To this day, I only think that I managed to survive because of the injuries inflicted to this killer, because I got away. I ran back towards the home I was raised in, but couldn't make it before I passed out, both due to my injury and the biting winter cold. But I had been left for dead in the snow before, and I lived. I would do it once more. By chance, 2 other brothers of my father's order were on the road, where I fell unconscious. My final thought before I passed out was the man's face, now forever burned into my memory. I was taken back to the nunnery, where I was cared for as the knights searched for the fallen body of their master and brother-in-arms. Since that fateful day, I swore I would join the order when I was deemed old enough and worthy, and ever since I would dedicate my life to finding that man who tore my world apart. I have had my real family taken from me, and now my adopted father too. I would not rest till I could find the truth behind both and bring whoever it was to justice. Although quite what that justice will be, I am unsure. Okay. Get thee to a nunnery. It's a whole different phrase, isn't it? And that had shades of Inigo Montoya to it, so I'm glad I didn't go with a voice like that. Because once I really got into it, it was a bit different story, but shades of it. I like it. Fun to read because it's the emotion is there. You know, that's one of the things when I'm reading is I try, you know, as hard as I can to read ahead slightly and try to see what the emotion is in the story. Oh, you're welcome, DM Stretch. Thank you for submitting it because great piece. I loved it. I try to read a little bit ahead so I can get a feel for where the story's going, which is a little tougher when you're cold reading. But you know, I'll read a sentence or two ahead when I pause for something or whatever. I'll read it and then catch it, just get the flavor of it and keep going. And this one, the emotion and the tone of it was written well enough that I was able to very easily pick up on what was going on and move forward with it. So, awesome job. Thank you so much for that. I enjoyed that quite a bit. All right, the next one is one of Dinosaur Bob's. This is Tending Birde's Garden. I believe it's Birde. When I have a question, what advice do you have when filling in a region with towns and such without much information of the greater world? Okay. I don't fill things in unless I feel the story absolutely needs them. So, you know, you can say it's an area of villages. Think of a region as opposed to, as opposed to individual towns. And what is the major focus of that region? Is it agricultural? Is it mining? Is it trade? And then fill in that information there. Don't worry about the greater world if you're focusing on one area. Yeah, I mean, just think about what that region would be and then add the information as you need. It's going from around the campfire field of the story. Ah, I see. Oh, I wish I'd have known that because I'd have done it more as a storyteller kind of a feel to it. But I can see that now. I can. Read article with quotes first, sidebar last. Let me look at that one. Sidebar last. Okay, so read the article with the quotes, and then that. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, roughly 3 voices. Okay. Actual world building. There's the phrase of the day. All right, let's go on to Tending Birde's Gardens. Berde and Atizana of the Alavar were the first to arrive some 20,000 turns of the seasons ago. Berde, seeing this broad expanses of rocks and sea left by the creators of the world, decided that he would bring beauty into this place. He first made the grasses and trees and flowers, and all the things that grow on the land and in the shallow seas. Then, because he saw beauty in motion as well as form, he awoke the creatures that live in the seas and marshes, the creatures large and small that inhabit the forests and plains, and the birds, bats, and insects that inhabit the skies. From the Elven Tale of the Awakenings. Berde of the Alavar created the first plant and animal life that covered Carterion. His design included the means by which these plants would thrive. He envisioned a web involving not only the plants, but all varieties of animal life, from tiny insects to larger birds and beasts. All aspects of creation relied in some way on every other. Food chains are the most visible evidence of this, but not the only one. The elven sages teach their people there's a vital balance in nature, a balance between the plants and trees of Carterion and its creatures, crawling insects, bees, birds, bats, and even larger furred beasts. Some animals spread pollen that allows the plants to form to seeds. The plants provide nectar as a special reward. Later, other creatures eat the plants or their fruit, then spread the seeds in their scat. The cycle continues. Left to themselves, all creatures prosper, and life goes on. But things are Carterion rarely left to themselves. Atizana, one of the wisest of all the Astralar, knew this, and took steps to ensure that the works of her partner Berde would forever grace the world of Carterion with their beauty and splendor. Atizana awakened beings that would watch over her partner's works and enjoy their beauty. She formed the Dryads to watch over the forests of great trees, the Limoniads to tend the flowers of the meadows and plains, and the Naiads to watch over the rivers and pools of fresh water. The Nereids were created to watch over the larger seas, and the Oreads to watch over the mountains. She created the pixies and sprites to live in the gardens made by Berde all over Carterion. From the Elven Tale of the Awakenings. The elven sages also teach their people that Atizana believed that while the bees and beasts were vital parts of the plan, they were not enough to ensure the fullest beauty of the world. She created the Fae, the nymphs to be exact, as creatures with greater intelligence than the animals. They had a greater appreciation for the beauty of nature and a desire to see it nurtured. This is before other deities arrived at Carterion and began to twist and pollute some of the nymphs into dark, antagonistic, evil gremlin forms that are found today wherever the Fae can be found. The different varieties of nymphs are responsible for different regions of Carterion, but all have similar responsibilities. They monitor the health and vitality of nature and do whatever they can to ensure things are working according to plan. Since the influences of the dark gods started to taint Berde's nature, the task has become more challenging. Sometimes they need to protect creatures from threats that never used to be. Sometimes they must take an active role in replanting blighted flora and restoring the fauna needed to complete the complex web of dependency. Since the Great Strife, one would assume the nymphs would be harder at work than ever, attempting to restore Carterion to the natural glory it enjoyed before the gods waged war across the world. One would be right in this assumption, but sadly, there are fewer nymphs now to complete the work. For when Atizana created the nymphs, she granted them an eternal lifespan, but this did not mean they could not be killed. Furthermore, nymphs do not reproduce. Atizana did not see the need when she first created them. After the strife, and was left to those nymphs who remained to tend Berde's gardens in every corner of Carterion. This they did, and still do, as best they can. But the elven sages fear they are slowly losing the battles against not only the fell creatures, but the indifference of the folk who spread everywhere across Carterion as well. Unfortunately, the human sages are not so learned in the ways of Berde's creations. And while the humans have mastered the arts of growing certain crops for their use, they do not understand the web of nature. Humans tend wheat and barley for bread and beer, and flax to spin into linen. They grow root vegetables and gourds to feed themselves through cold winter when crops do not grow, and tend fruit trees to harvest for their delicacies. But sadly, the human sages, much less the pioneers and farmers, do not understand the importance of the creatures they call pests and vermin. They believe the crops grow and spread because of their tending, and do not see the work of Burdet's insignificant creatures, or the nymphs that watch over them. The humans have noticed that since the strife, there are places where they cannot grow things, or that there are places that long ago were fertile, but are now barely able to sustain a crop. They have not noticed, though, that these are the areas where the Fae no longer dwell, where there is nobody to restore the lost web of interdependence that Burdet intended. They do not notice because they never really noticed the Fae in the first place, or at least never recognized that they had a purpose. As the elven sages say, they are learning now, but are not even aware of the teaching. Aye, me harvest'll be lean again this year, Edric. This land's been nothing but hard luck since I cleared it. Took a year to get rid of them pesky sprites and pixies, too. They kept busying themselves around the trees and plants. Dang nuisance they were. Yep, another year of bad harvest. Don't know how many more me famine me'll survive. A pioneer farmer in the frontier lands talking with a friend. In all of Carterion, one of the areas most devastated by the destruction of the Great Strife was the land between the Feywood and the sea to the north. Most of the Fey creatures that called these lands home were killed in the battles that raged. When the fighting was done, the Fey of the forest to the south had to spread themselves more thinly than ever before. Sadly, as the Fey came from the south to restore natural order to the lands, the humans came from the north and west to reclaim their farms, fields, and grazing lands. They saw the nymphs as vermin. Dryads would keep trees from being cleared for land. Naiads would prevent streams from being diverted to water crops. And the Lemoniads in the meadows and the sprites and pixies everywhere were simply pests. They were driven off or killed by the settlers. The greater nymphs and elves have since educated the humans moving into the Feywood itself, making it clear that they must respect the land and all its creatures if they wish to remain in the forest. But the damage in the lands to the north of the Great Forest is already done. There are not enough nymphs left in the Feywood to spread to the Northlands. And unless Atazana deigns to awaken more, the future is bleak for the northern frontier. All right. That has a kind of cautionary tale feel to it, which I think hopefully is the intent. I think where that goes. I like that one a lot. I say that a lot about a lot of these articles. You guys actually do some great writing and give me some great material to read. So awesome job, Bob. Great work. Speaking of Bob, he and I are still working, will be working on the Synergasia project. If you haven't heard of that one, that is the project where up to 25 authors will be collaborating on one world. You get to figure out what the region is. Well, let me rephrase that. You get a region in the world, and it is yours in a sense to mold, other than the actual physical characteristics of it. For example, there will already be mountains there. There will already be shores there, ocean shores. In some cases, ocean rifts. There may be volcanoes there already. There may be, tall mountains that are earthquake prone. We've come up with the physical manifestation, including 2 moons, which can be inhabited. We're up to 10 authors already, so there's space for 15 more. If we get more than that, no big deal. We're going to create a second one. Basically, we're going to take the map of the first one and duplicate it, and it will be almost like an alternate universe Synergasia. It'll be Synergasia 2. So we'll have multiple things. And then at that point, who knows? Maybe people can travel between dimensions. Sounds cool, but bang my head against one giant world's enough for me. No problem, Aegon. This is done, and it's an important point. This is being done for fun. You got no time? Don't worry about it. This is for fun. What we want to do is kind of take where summer camp was. Let me know if you need anyone to be a rubber duck to be talked at. What the idea here is, for summer camp, a lot of us enjoyed doing the prompts. It was like it gave us something to do and something to write about and a kind of a focus. And Bob and I are going to be doing something similar. Every week, we're going to release a new prompt. Use it in the Synergasia world. Use it in your world. The prompt is just a prompt. So if it works better in your own world, awesome. If it works better in the Synergasia region that you are creating, awesome. Whatever works for you. This is designed to have fun. If you can't contribute one week because, hey, life gets in the way, okay. But the real key here is you will be able to collaborate with other authors. We're going to try to put similar eras and similar technology levels next to each other so that if you choose, two regions could communicate with each other and could actually have interaction. So it's going to be a fun one. Definitely take advantage of the prompts, though, to build in the world. Excellent. Excellent. They'll be there every week. I'm going to take this as a way to write little flash fiction blurbs, so I won't be worrying about putting an RPG campaign in it. Exactly. Yep. We want this to be a fun kind of way to do writing exercise, whether it's in your world or in the Synergasia world. The prompts are not limited to just our authors. Obviously, we want people to have fun with this. This is the whole key to it. Just to give you some fodder, give you something else to work with, and to see where things go. I am so curious to see what happens when we take 25 authors who have different eras, different visions. I think we have 2 prehistoric worlds. I think we have 2 that are roughly Victorian era, one early Age of Sail, one later Age of Sail. We have an underwater one being planned. There's a steampunk. There's a highly advanced civilization in there. This is going to be fun. Don't worry. We're taking steps to do things like we don't want Conan next to the Starfleet Academy. And we have taken steps to ensure that doesn't happen. I just realized I can't remember if I made it clear that magic isn't a public thing, like in the Dresden Files. It's cool. What you gave us was plenty. And that's really the key. The first prompt, by the way, for anybody who wants to join in, is literally tell us what you're going to do with your region. What you want. What are the physical characteristics? What's the basic time frame? There are like five bullet points. You just want to hit those 5 bullet points. But here's a real great thing about that. Go and look at those 5 bullet points, and let me put up the link to it. Oops. Let me put up the link to it. This takes you to the page that's like, what is this thing? 2 futures now. And yes, Victorian horror is also in there. So there are 5 bullet points on this page. Conan slice a Federation ship in 2. No, but what happens if the Federation ship crosses an invisible border or one that is covered in fog, and they're no longer on their Federation ship, but now they're on a sailing ship? We've thought of these things. So you go to that article, there's 5 bullet points. These bullet points, they're designed for you to tell us what you would want in your region, but they're also 5 great bullet points for whatever world you're creating. So take a look at those bullet points and ask yourself, can I answer these 5 questions about the world I'm working on now? And that's really where the power of this, I think, is going to come in, is that these prompts are not just for Synergasia, they're also for your own world. So check it out. follow us, do that kind of stuff. Okay? You don't have to participate in the world to get benefit out of what we're trying to do with everybody. And who knows? You may go in there and see some stories in there like that will trigger something. Sounds like a holodeck episode. Yes, except, well, technically, depending on how the holodeck was, deaths can be real. So, could be interesting. And what happens if Conan, those people, take their, primitive vessel across the other way? Find out. So, I'd love to do a steampunk horror, but I already have plenty to do. That's fine. Again, hopefully the prompts will help you as well. I mean, that's really what the goal is. It's just let's give you guys something more to kind of get yourself stretched out to it. Oh, look, Maui has decided to give you more information, which is just the same link. Okay, so last week I asked you guys when you posted to tell me the voice you wanted to hear it in. Yeah. Daz took it took it to the absolutely perfect extreme, I think, actually. I saw this link with the voice request, and I thought, oh, this is going to be entertaining. So, I'm not going to tell you who the voice is, because if I screw it up really badly, you'll know who it is. But Daz knows who it is. And let's see if I can have some fun with it. Maui can't have your boat. It's Pele you got to watch out for. All right. This is Daz's story. Article. Before the fire. The Chaco Way in the steaming Ocracoke lived the Chaco, a primitive people that look like brightly colored tree frogs. They believe there is power in the number 7, and their most sacred lore consists of 7 tales that teach their young the importance of their 7 sacred rules. Kenny Chaco, traveling out beyond the village tree, wears a Kermi belt, which has attached to it several pouches and sheaths holding a variety of useful things. This belt is named for their legendary hero, Kermi Topwater, and it is through the telling of his journey that these sacred rules are taught. One such rule regards how to safely light a fire.
Put your ear to the ground before lighting the fire, or it's to the snakes with you. Recounting an incident where a Chaka hunter to a young hunter who laid down his spear to light the sogleaf fire.
The Chaco use fire for crafting, shaman's reading light, and most importantly, the making of hot sogleaf, a strong brew of blended leaves.
No one day can end without the drinking of sogleaf. Putting an ear to the ground where a fire is to be lit is one such sacred rule. It comes from the first journey of the beloved, legendary hero, Kermi Topwater.
Long, long ago, Kermi Topwater went deep into the Ocracoke, so no other males could hear his new croak and steal it. There he reached the hidden deep. With no other Chaco tad about, he practiced his croak. It had to be perfect, for the moonful sing if he ever wanted a tadlass of his own. Not until evening did he feel his croak was right. But then it was time to have his hot sog leaf. Kermi swam out across the hidden deep to a bare island that was perfect for building a little fire. From one of the watertight pouches on his trusty belt, he took out a charwood brick and some tinder. He then unlooped his fire starter, a piece of rough metal with a chink of flint wrapped about it with a bit of vine. Unraveling the two, he struck flint to metal, creating sparks until there were tiny flames. In moments, the charwood caught fire, and there were flames big enough to heat a tin cup of water. But before he could take out his cup, The island heaved and bucked beneath him and then began to rise. As it rose, so did 7 great heads of the Hydra he had just started his fire on. The heads bellowed and snapped their long tooth-filled jaws at him and each other. He hopped about madly, avoiding them as he also tried to escape into the water. Then one of those terrible jaws caught Kermit by his belt and flung him away. He landed far away in a very tall tree that was filled by the Choco's most hated enemy, snakes. How he escaped the Tree of Snakes is another tale.
Recounting the tales told by Choco Mothers, Chapter 1.
All right. I hope I did okay on that one. Waiting for a Gonzo. God. You know, the only real problem I find with all the different Jim Henson voices. Yes, Fozzie did the first quote, or my version of Fozzie. The problem with doing Jim Henson voices, to me, is a lot of them are very similar. So it's hard for me to hear the differentiation when I'm doing the voices. So I tend to slide between them. Thank you, Daz. Thank you so much. That was fun.
That's right, Kermit the Frog here. Feeling a little froggy.
All right. We do have going on a challenge for, gosh, I think today's the last day, and I never wrote it. And it's over because it was by midnight their time, which is like 10 minutes from now, so it's not going to get written. But the challenge was for describe the pollinators in your world. I think Bob's was kind of that story as well, describing, how the Fae acted as the glue between everything. But Siobhan has included theirs, the magically productive pollinators. So, well, actually, yeah, sprites, the magically productive pollinators. So let's see. Yes, the pollinators challenge got finished a little earlier today. Yeah, the Frank Oz voices, and that's the thing is, Frank Oz. And the funny thing is, you ever hear Frank Oz talk, it still sounds like all the characters. Darth, don't feel bad. I never even started mine. That was one of those I looked at and I went, okay, I could do the challenge, or I could try to get all my technology to work. And then there were other things that got in the way. It was one of those like, and it really didn't help my story. I got chapter 2 of my serial story done, so I needed to do that, and I've got to write my chapters. I'm running around 5,000, 6,000 words. So that's a fair amount to write. I mean, if you look at what we were doing prompts-wise, if I do it in 5 days, that was the equivalent of about 3 prompts a day. So it's a significant amount of writing to get the chapters up. So Jim Henson's national voice is Kermit. Yeah, and Frank Oz is most of the other ones. I almost, and I thought about it just a hair too late, that last voice. I almost went to the Count reading about them, and about the legend. Ha, 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 ha. I almost did the Count. Better use of time for me to edit some stuff. Yeah, and that's the beauty of all of this. Just got yours done the last minute on stream. Okay, so I'm going to read Siobhan's, and then Sable, I'll read yours, and then that's going to hit the end of it because they want me to grill for dinner tonight, so I'm going to have to go off. The first Harry Potter book is 76,000 words. So that's about 15 chapters of my serial story. I should be well into the story by then. It sounded like Sam the Eagle. Yeah, it did. Sam the Eagle with a little bit of an accent. Yeah, it's, you know what? That's the problem with when you're following someone. For example, if what they heard was all their life was the Jim Henson Kermit, then it's a little easier to get there. But Jim Henson's been gone a long time now. So what you're hearing is somebody else doing Jim Henson and then somebody else doing their version of Jim Henson. And it gets, I can see it. I am using the Count voice when I do the Vamp article for my senior Gaussian. Oh, yes, I can do that. I have more than that already in my novel. Yeah, it's, you know. All right. I've got 2 then to read, so let's get on it. This first one is Siobhan's Pollinator article. No one else is up when you finish. I'm still up. Just doing a casual writing strips. I have the time in the house. But raid someone else before you for sure. Got it. All right, let's look at Siobhan's. I need to change the screen. And there we go. Let's see here.
Though there are many pollinators throughout Corrigenda, the most prolific of these are the tiny fae known as sprites. They spend all their time hopping from flower to flower, gathering the pollen and nectar. They become so involved in this, they forget the need to deposit their loads back someplace where they can use it later.
Oh, you want it more childlike. I can do that. Childlike. That's a challenge. I'm dropping hardware. Thank you, Sable. This one was, I tried to clean it up a little bit. All right, let's try this again, but a lot more childlike.
Though there are many pollinators throughout Corrigenda, the most prolific of these are the tiny fae known as sprites. They spend all their time hopping from flower to flower, gathering the pollen and nectar. They become so involved in this that they forget the need to deposit their loads back someplace where they can use it later. Like most small children, sprites love to play in wide open fields of flowers. Playing games like tag and follow the leader, their tiny feet dancing across the blooms, gathering pollen and depositing it on other blossoms. As they go through the fields, you can see great clouds of pollen rising in the air to be blown away by the wind, caused by tiny wings fluttering fast enough to be very difficult to see. While they play their games, vast plains, fields, and orchards become pollinated, and fruit can soon be seen to develop. There have been rare occasions when cross-pollination has resulted in some rather unique fruit. It is rumored there is a farmer who slowly turned his apple orchard into a strawapple orchard, though where that is, no one is quite sure. That is, no one but the sprites. The farmer and the sprites have come to an agreement that if they are to play in his orchard, it is only amongst the trees growing there, so his crop remains pure. For this agreement, he offers them some of the juice of the fruit, as well as a bowl of the fine strawapple brandy. Sprites also like to try to play tag with bees, ride bats, and pretend to be acrobats or traveling bards. Sprites are about 3 to 6 inches tall normally. When the time comes for sprites to propagate, they can become as large as 4 feet tall. They will mate with anyone willing and have a nearly indefatigable libido during this time. They have gossamer wings in jewel and metallic tones. The outer rims and veins have a metallic sheen, while the transparencies take on jewel tones. They enjoy brightly colored clothes, of which they wear very little.
Okay. Not sure childlike was what we wanted for that one. But I can see the sprites. Put some clothes on, sprites. Good job, Siobhan. I like that one. That was fun. And you made me stretch because I don't usually do the kid voice. I have found in the last few years that my voice for kids has gotten more and more difficult because I'm losing my higher registers. So I can't... Oh, I just want to copy this link. Come on. I'm losing my higher registers, so it's hard to do high voices. All right, here, let me try that. See if that's going to work for me. I should be able to just click it. Maybe. Oh dear. There we go. This is kind of weird, not going to lie. I need to practice more then. Yeah, except there's actually some physical limitations for it. I had heart surgery about 3.5 years ago, and ever since, I've lost a lot of the higher end of my voice, and I think it was just the trauma going through all that, and it changed my breathing some. So I think it's some long words in there to be childlike, though just a minor tip. Certainly an eloquent article, though. I can hit lower notes when singing than I used to. The higher ones are now harder. Yeah, I remember singing along to Earth, Wind, and Fire songs, which, or Bee Gees songs. Nowadays, if I want to hit those notes, it requires really uncomfortable underwear. You didn't need to know that. All right, let's get Sable's pollinator article, and then it's going to be time because I have to go grill basically kebabs, skewers. Sable, since you're going to be the last one, give me a voice you'd like to hear this in. I'm looking to see if there's any. Doesn't look like there's any voices. Could be one change of voice. So give me a voice you want to hear this in. And for those of you for next week, you have articles, drop them in the Discord under the Kahuna Reads channel. If my computer catches up with me. Whoops. I want to hit the high notes like I used to, though I know I will never have that higher range anymore. Yeah, it is what it is. Drop your articles in the Kahuna Reads channel, but also tell me a voice that you'd like to hear it in. That's what happened with Daz's. Dazly wrote, "Hey, I want to hear this by like Kermit the Frog." Okay, I'll do my best. Whatever suggests to you something that sounds like a curious scholar, maybe. Ooh. A curious scholar. Oh, yeah, okay. I can see something here. Okay, all right. Let's see what we have here. We're already on the full screen, so we can go and just... Starseed. Pollination. Trees of life have long mystified and intrigued naturalists. The greatest puzzle was propagation. How does a giant tree that is inevitably the sole member of its kind in light years reproduce itself? Assuming that they truly are trees, how does pollen pass from one tree to another to produce star seeds? It was the work of Avalonian Imperial Navy druids and naturalists Von Vin Starsong and Alexander Tremaine that eventually led to the answer. Trees of life use the erts to further their own reproduction, and they effectively pollinate themselves. Although other starfaring ships, and even some large starfaring creatures, may also serve as secondary pollinators. As a starseed develops, seemingly of its own volition, as a product of a tree of life. The seed somewhat resembles a gargantuan maple or ash seed with two distinct wings. 2 to 6, actually. Left to its own devices, it will grow to the size of a dreadnought before it detaches itself into the currents of the erts. The unique nature of a starseed
allows it to harness the air's motive force, although it has no way to accelerate beyond light speed unless it happens upon a wormhole. Nor does it possess a method of steering or sailing. Like a leaf adrift in a stream, it is entirely reliant on the currents it is in to carry it elsewhere. Most starseeds simply wind up adrift in the void, where they enter a state of hibernation. Over eons, they may slowly wither and die without access to the energies of a star to sustain them. But some find a solid body in which to take root. Usually an asteroid or comet, but sometimes a moon or a planet. The process is little understood, but it is believed that when this happens, it is possible for a starseed to grow into a full-grown tree of life in only a few centuries. When utilized by the Avalonian Imperial Navy as a starseed ship, a starseed can instead be shaped through magic and careful druidry to carry crew and passengers. This may be to the starseed's evolutionary advantage, because it allows the ship to more effectively navigate the Erts, and thus increases its odds of eventually finding a suitable place in which to root. Although that may be delayed several centuries, while the starseed remains commissioned by the Navy. Still, the question remained, how does a tree of life pollinate? How do starseeds develop in the first place? Starseeds are not, in fact, seeds, or at least they are not just seeds. In a manner of speaking, they are also highly sophisticated flowers. Most starseeds are female, and as they make their journeys through the vast reaches of the void, they hope to encounter starseed pollen. If they are so fortunate, they store the pollen in their stigma until an opportunity to take root somewhere presents itself. When the starseed is fertilized, this is usually signified by a color change, shifting the starseed to brighter pinks or purples, as opposed to their usual iridescent greens, purples, and blues. It is the characteristic hexagonal crystalline pattern on the surface of the starseed that contains the plant's sex organs. There are thousands of microscopic stigmas in each hexagon, creating maximum opportunity for pollination, as the stigmas literally cover the starseed's shell. However, perhaps 1 in 1,000 starseeds are male. To an untrained eye, they are indistinguishable from female starseeds, but they tend to lean to a more aerodynamic shape. They also have larger wings than their female counterparts. When shaped by the Druids and Ashmaz of the Avalonian Empire, they are more easily configured into fast, extraordinarily maneuverable versions of the ship's class. It was Alexander Tremaine who observed that ships with a reputation for being excellent dogfighters are more likely to be male. Instead of containing thousands of stigmas, the hexagonal crystals of a male starseed's shell contain thousands of microscopic stamens, which constantly produce pollen. For the most part, this goes unnoticed. However, a savvy captain will eventually realize that their ship leaves a trail wherever it goes. Within the vastness of the void, these particles of starseed pollen are so insignificant that they are never noticed. But the residue of pollen may linger when a male starseed is engaged in slower maneuvers, such as fleet movements. When left idle in space or when sitting in dry dock for extended periods, a male starseed would build up pollen residue. The pollen, like the starseeds themselves, is iridescent. Therefore, the starseed develops a sparkling coating over time. This has been described by some starfarers as pixie dust. One might think that the byproduct of a tree of life would have some beneficial effects on life forms, and one would be right. Starseed pollen has significant healing properties. When consumed, it bolsters the body's healing capability to an extraordinary level. Consumed over long periods of time, it also improves health and physical capabilities. It is often used by mages, witches, and clergy as an ingredient in healing potions or compounds that enhance the physical capabilities of the body for short periods. And my goodness, that was a great article. And I see lots of folks with lots of suggestions for voices. Oh man, let's go back here a little bit. What I got here? Luna Lovegood. Let's see.
Picard. Oh, man. All right. You guys, send me articles you want read next week and put all these suggestions in with a specific article. And I will, the sooner you do it.
Dobby doesn't like to read. Dobby only follows Harry Potter.
Pick an article, pick a voice. I will try to do it. The earlier you get it in, the earlier in the week, the longer I have to look at it and figure out the voice. Because if I haven't done it before, I need to do it. I mean, doing a Jean-Luc Picard is, you make it so. It's almost a Sean Connery. Almost a Sean Connery. Not quite. It's a little more refined than a Sean Connery. Make it so. Article read by Dobby. I have finished it first. Dobby could have done... Yes! And thank you, Sable. Thank you. These are always so much fun. So next week, come on, challenge me. I had some challenges this week. But Kermie was a lot of fun. Put in your suggestions, drop in articles, and go from there. I do not have the calendar, or do I? Yes, I do have a calendar up. Hang on. Let's see here. Who's after me today? Oh, we have to. I have not seen this stream yet. This is Davina, and Davina has got some of the most beautiful worlds in terms of the art. Oh my goodness, and she's a wizard with CSS. So I'm going to shoot you over to Davina tonight. You'll be going back to work. Anyone want Davina streams Pathfinder content? Yeah, Davina's fairly new to streaming, but the stuff she does is phenomenal. She's streaming in Pathfinder. Let's send you over there because Roll Society, I've gone to them a ton. So it's Davina Androwin. Right? Let me make sure I got that right. I have to actually type raid. And it's not doing what I want it to do. Davina only has 21. We need to fix that. I thank you to all of you guys because I'm approaching 100, which is absolutely amazing to me. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'm already over, so I need to go down and start the grill and get cooking dinner so that everybody can eat. Oh, you guys aren't streaming anyway. Oh, okay. You guys were still on the calendar, so that's why I was going to go to you, Aegon. So let's go to Davina. You guys, this was a lot of fun, as always. Remember, Tuesday is the Kahuna Help stream. So if you have questions, I'm going to be working probably on some of the stuff for Synergasia as well as for my own world. But if you have questions, jump in there. Be glad to answer them. And then remember, I'm always just sitting around for Kahuna Quiet from about 8-ish o'clock in the morning Pacific time to about 3. Over the last few days, if you wanted to see what we're working on for Synergasia, I've actually been doing the maps online live. So, join us there. You'll see the stuff that's going on. I'm going to be working on more maps. I've done the 2 moon maps. I did the world map, and I've done the first 2 regions, done the detail on those. So if you want to see that stuff, join me during Kahuna Quiet. Glad you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for the submissions. Go to my Discord and put the articles in there. And let's send you over to Davina. When you get there, give her a big aloha from me. And lots of fun, guys. I'll see you later this week, either on Kahuna Help. Oh, because I misspelled it. Figures. I double checked it too. Yeah, the computer's starting to really slow down now, so now let's try the raid. Oy, oy, oy. I'm having the hardest time sending people over to Davina. Let's make sure this is right. Raid, da. Boom! There we go. All right. So, off you go. Keep in mind that Davina does do things kind of, it is a little more adult stream, so if you got kids around, don't do it. But kids, have a great time. Off to Davina you go. Thank you for joining me on the stream. It was a lot of fun. Talk to you guys later.
well, you've got a light on, and the fan on, and, you know.
I turned it off last night.